All right, so now we're going to look at methods for creating new data or digitizing new data. So before we can get started, we're going to need to have some files to load into or draw into. Again, since this is an open source course, we're going to try to do that using some open data formats. So what I'm going to do is create a new geo package for this area. This is going to be our reference data. This is a high-res aerial photo orthophotography from Morgantown, which is where W is situated. So we're going to create some features over Morgantown. So I'm going to first do create database and geo packages here. And then we'll call this mtown geo package 2. It's already made another one. And then we'll start off by creating a point feature. And we'll call this mtown points. Okay, and then we want to add some fields to this point feature. So we'll create a description field. And we're going to set that to a text, which already was. And we'll let people put up to 250 characters in there. And then we'll add that to the list of fields to create. And then we'll also create a x-coord field for the x-coordinate. We'll make that a real number so it can hold decimals, and then we'll make a y-coord field. Again, a real number. Just quick note, there's multiple data types available here, and what data types are available is going to depend on the type of layer you're writing into. So for this geopackage layer specifically, we have text, whole numbers, decimal values, real numbers, date time, Boolean, and binary large objects or blobs. Okay, so that looks fine. So let's go ahead and hit OK. And that generates this new object and this geo package with that point layer in there. And the point layer was already added to the map. Okay, so let's try to add to this layer. So to do that, I'm going to go up to this toolbar, and I'm going to click on this new geo package layer. So I'm going to grab my geo package I just created. And this time, I'm going to create a line of a line layer. So I'm going to change the geometry to line, and I'm going to change the projection to the current map projection, which is this one. Which makes me realize I actually didn't do that for the points. So we'll make a new point layer in a minute. Okay, so we'll create a description field as text up to 250 characters, and then we'll do length in kilometers, and that should be real so it doesn't round off to the nearest kilometer. All right, and then we'll do that. And now it's going to say file already exists, do you want to overwrite it? So what we want to do in this case is add new layer, because we're not wanting to create a new geo package, we're just wanting to add a layer to that the geo package we already have. So we'll do add new layer, and that should add it in. And as I said, I screwed up the points, so I'm going to go back and delete this one from the layer list there, and then in here I should be able to do delete layer. And it said it was successful. So, and now it's gone. So now I'm going to go back and add that again with the correct projection. So grab our geo package. We're going to call this points. It's going to be a point feature. We want to change this to our NAT83 datum, or sorry, UTM-17 North datum. There's a couple different versions floating around in here, but I think that's okay. We'll just use this one. It's close enough. And then, again, we'll create a description, which will be text up to 250 characters. And then an x-coord, which will be real, and a y-coord, which will also be real. And then add to the feature. And then we're going to create a Polygon layer. So again, grab our database, name it, so we'll call it Poly Set the geometry to polygon. Name, again, we'll add a description field. And that is going to be, that'll again be text, 250 characters. And then we'll do an area, and we'll do square km, calculate area in square kilometers. And that'll be real for decimals. And again, we can swap out our projection here. Okay, so you may have noticed that there are other options for geometries other than just simply point, line, and polygon. So I'm going to create another layer, which is a multi-polygon feature. So note here the different options. We have no geometry, which means it's just a table, point, line, polygon, and then we have multi-point, multi-line, multi-polygon, and then some other options. So basically the difference between like a multi-point and a multi-point, or a line and a multi-line, or a polygon and a multi-polygon, is that the multi-version, you can have multi-part features that get treated as a single feature. So for example, if you create a using a multi-polygon, you could have the entirety of Hawaii be one feature, as opposed to each individual polygon or island being treated as a separate feature or polygon. So I'm going to create one of those just so we have that option. And again, change the projection, and this time I'm just going to add a description field to it. Text 250. Okay, add new layer. All right, so there we go. We have our 4 layers inside of our geo package. Again, if for some reason that doesn't update, as it didn't here, you can just click on it and then refresh, and it'll add in those layers. So there's all of our new layers. Okay, so now we're ready to start editing. So to edit a feature, you're going to want to click on it in the layers list, and then click on this pencil tool to basically get into editing mode. Note also that there are some more advanced editing functions that don't load automatically. So that's what this toolbar is. So to get that, you have to go to, let's see, settings, no, project, edit, view, and then toolbars, and then make sure this advanced digitizing toolbar is turned on. Okay, so let's try to edit into this points layer first. All right, so this tool allows you to add new points. Just going to zoom in here. This is Brooks Hall, where our department's situated. So I'm going to call that Brooks Hall. And that adds the point. Zoom out. Let's grab a couple other points. This is our law school, so we'll call that W Law School. And then for another point, we'll grab the hospital here. So this is W Hospital. Okay. Now, if we open up that attribute table, we should see that we have 3 features in there stored as separate features. It took our description, but these X and Y coord fields are still null, which we'll deal with later. Okay, so there we go. That's done. All right, so now let's move on and play around with the line features. So again, well, first off, we want to make sure we save. So we'll click back on the points layer and hit save. So it's saved. And then we'll go to our line feature and then start drawing. Grab this tool. And then we're adding in our vertices to create this line feature. And then to put the last coordinate in, you just have to you right click, and then again, so it's just 705, which is one of the roads in town. Okay, and then I'm just going to quickly make another one. Again, this isn't great. I'm just adding in some features, and this is Beechhurst Avenue. Okay, so now if we go in here, open attribute table, we have both of those features added to the map. All right, and then lastly, we'll look at polygons. Well, first off, again, make sure to save that layer, and then we'll go into this polygon layer. Okay, so instead of like drawing a feature, I'm just going to zoom into like a field and draw just like a very basic feature we can play with. Okay, so again, start editing, add some vertices, and then close it. Right click. And let's call this Poly 1. Okay, so there we have a polygon feature. So let's say, for example, that you wanted to do some manipulation with this after the fact. So maybe you wanted to like move vertices around or add more vertices. Okay, so to do that, we're going to click on, make sure the feature is selected. So just grab the selection tool here. And then I'm going to click on this tool, which is this vertex tool, and we'll just do current layer. And this allows you to manipulate the vertices. So you can grab them, move them, you can add new vertices in, change the shape of the feature. So editing your vertices. You could do some other editing. So again, with this advanced editing toolbar, we have some options here. So for example, this allows you to move it, rotate it, simplify the shape, add in interior rings, add multi-parts if it's a multi-part feature, split, merge, things like that. So let's experiment with that for a minute. So first off, let's just move it. So it's already selected. So if I select this move tool, we should be able to move this object. So I'm just going to move it, I don't know, move it up here to this field. And now it's been moved. If I want to rotate it, click on the rotate tool here, bring up this window. Let's just rotate it by, we'll do 45 degrees. Again, that rotates it. This would simplify it. It's probably pretty simple. We don't really need to do much with that. Let's see if we can cut out an interior ring. So this is what this tool does. So we'll draw an interior ring here, and that cuts that out. Let's see, we wanted to split it. That's what this does. So again, make sure it's selected. Click the split tool there, and then you're basically drawing a line along which you want to split it. And then close it. So now we should have two separate features there. So, and say we want to merge them back together, you could just select them both, grab the merge tool, and then you have some options about how you're going to combine the attributes. I'm just putting manual. That will leave alone manual value. And we'll do okay. And that merges them back together into a single feature or object. All right, so that's basic editing. Let's look at, to finish up, let's look at a multi-part feature. So I'm going to go back here. I'm going to save my edits, and then I'm going to grab the multi-part feature and start editing it. So I'm going to go down here like into the water and just draw some polygons. So grab the tool, close it. Again, let's call this P1. And then I'm going to make a second one. And we'll call that one P2. So there we have two polygons. If we open up the attribute table here, we can see that there are two separate features as opposed to one multi-part feature. So how do you actually make like a multi-part feature? So how you do that is you select the first part, and then we can use this add part tool to build the second part. Note that the attributes didn't pop up because we're not really creating a new feature, we're just creating a new part. So I'm going to go to this mTown Polys layer, and we're going to open the attribute table again, and we'll see we still have two features there as opposed to three. And then just for selection, this is one feature, these are combined. Okay, and then we'll save that. So anyway, that's just some basic tips for doing editing of features in QGIS.